Hi, and welcome to another session of OTIS for Educators. I'm Nicole Matthew.
And I'm Kaylee Lair.
And we're both curriculum specialists here at Tech. Today you're joining us to learn how to integrate Kahoot with your Microsoft Teams accounts.
Remember, if you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the chat box and I'll get those answered for you.
All right, let's head over to our agenda and get started. So first up, we're just going to do a refresher of what Kahoot and Microsoft Teams are. From there, we'll go into some of the benefits of using Kahoot within your Teams accounts as an integration feature. Then we'll go on to how to use Kahoot in Teams in general, how we can add Kahoot to our Teams account, either to a chat or to a team. Then how to assign a Kahoot quiz in Teams. From there, we'll follow how to host a live Kahoot event in Teams with your students or teachers. And then finally, we'll go over some important things to remember and keep in mind as you get started. Okay, so first up, the difference between Kahoot and Microsoft Teams. Just as a refresher, Kahoot is our game-based learning platform for creating and delivering quizzes to students or really to teachers in a fun and engaging way. Now, Microsoft Teams is the vehicle or the LMS, the learning management system that you might be using. It's a communication and collaboration platform that integrates video, chats, texting, file sharing, and a whole bunch more. There's so many more apps other than the Kahoot app, which we're going to talk about today. So now that we have that little background information, what are some of those benefits of using Kahoot within Teams as an integrated app? So, you could definitely be using Kahoot on the side, not integrate it with your Microsoft Teams, but what are some benefits to putting those two things together? Well, you can quickly integrate formative assessments right within your Teams with your students or with your teachers. You don't need to go to a separate website to input or push out a quiz to your students for a challenge. All of the challenges that you post for your students are going to appear right within posts with all of the other tasks and conversations that you've already been having with your students. Third, we can review material in a fun way, especially in times of remote learning. You want to up the ante and have some fun with your students, and of course, increase student and teacher engagement. And so that's a major factor. You might definitely find that when you start integrating Kahoot with some of your virtual meetings, your students are definitely more engaged in reviewing material in this way. So those are just some general benefits. There are plenty more, but just to get you thinking. Now, we're going to review how to use Kahoot within Teams and some important things that you need to know. So first, you do have to have a Kahoot account set up prior to using it within Microsoft Teams. So you can't just go on to Microsoft Teams, add the application, and get started right away creating quizzes and things. So you do have to have that account prior, and you can do that at www.kahoot.com. Second, the quizzes that you can push out to students, either live or as a challenge, must be made on the Kahoot website. So there is no feature to create a quiz in Kahoot within the app that's in Teams. You have to go to the website separate to do that. And along with that, any data analysis and breakdown reports that you might want to view are only able to be seen on the Kahoot website. So again, those are some important things. Really, the Kahoot app is just the vehicle for delivering the material much easier to your students. That back-end work still has to be done on the website. And finally, your Kahoot tab that you have on your Microsoft Teams account is going to reflect your personal Kahoot creations. So when you log into your Kahoot within Microsoft Teams, you will only see quizzes that you have made or quizzes that you've collaborated on or any quizzes that are in your network that are shared with other teachers that might be working with you. If somebody else logs into their Kahoot account, even if they are in the same exact team, if they log into their Kahoot account, they will only see what they have created. Same as you will see what you have created. Okay, so now let's review how to add Kahoot either to a team or to a chat. So those are the two main ways that we can have Kahoot integrated with Microsoft Teams. So we can add directly within a team or chat by adding a tab. And I'll show you in a little bit how that works. From there, we can either add from the app's gallery, so that's a place that we can look at multiple apps, and then choose where we want to add it to specifically. And then finally, you want to log into your Kahoot account when you are prompted in the Kahoot tab. So those are the 3 important things that we want to keep in mind when we are adding Kahoot to Microsoft Teams. So let's head over to the computer and I'll show you how to add those. All right. So I do have set up, I am in a Microsoft Teams, my 5th grade Explorers class. And so you'll see up at the top here, I do have Kahoot already installed on this team. And I know that it's been installed because it's up here on the tab bar. All right, so let's see how we could do that from scratch from the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to head back to all of my teams. As I mentioned before, we can add it while we are already in a chat or in a team, or we can go to our apps marketplace and add it from there. So let's say I'd like to add it to my 4th grade Pioneers. We'll notice at the top here, I have my posts, my files, class notebook, assignments, grades, and then I have this little plus sign here. So this is where I would go to add Kahoot directly to the tab within that team. It looks the exact same for a chat as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, add a tab. And usually if you add it to a tab within a team or within a chat, Kahoot will already appear because it's a very popular app to add. But if not, simply enter Kahoot into the search bar here, hit enter, and it will appear for you. So if I wanted to add that, I'm going to click on Kahoot. When I'm ready, just click add. And it's going to ask me some permissions. Do I want to add Kahoot? Do I give it permission to post to the channel within my team or within my chat? Any Kahoot events, so I'm going to click add Kahoot. And then I still have to click save. So that's our final step there. And so because I'm already logged into my previous account, it's not going to show me the login step, but it would appear login right here. Because I'm already signed in, it's going to show me all of my Kahoots that I have. So that's how we would add from within a team. The same procedure follows if we are within a chat. Now I'm going to show you how to add it from the apps gallery or marketplace. So over on this side here, we have apps. So if I click on apps, you'll see it's different if I search all of the apps within the app marketplace. Kahoot doesn't come up first. So here I will have to search for it. And that search bar is right on the side under the title of apps. So if I click on that, and I'm going to type in Kahoot, before I've even pressed enter, it already comes up right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And so this is where it gives me the option to specify what team or what chat. You'll see it first just gives me the option to add to a team. If I would like to add to a chat, I'm going to click this downward facing caret icon, and that's going to give me that option to add to a chat. So both are equally fine and great ways of doing it.
And quick question over here in the chat box. We're having some great discussions. We were wondering if this can be done in only the web-based version, or can it be done in the app as well?
That's a really great question. It can definitely be done in the app. I'm showing it on the web-based version because that's what I have installed on this computer, but absolutely 100% desktop version or website version. Great question. And the same procedures follow for if you are doing it in the desktop version. You would still follow the same procedure to add Kahoot. Okay, so we're not going to go through and do it a second time because I've already installed it, but we'll head back to our teams here. I'm going to go back to all teams and get back into my 5th grade Explorers. So you'll see here, as I mentioned to you before, my activity is showing up under the posts here, and we'll highlight that a little more in just a second. Okay, so now that we know how to add Kahoot to a team or to a chat, let's talk about how to assign a Kahoot quiz in Teams. So when you choose to assign a quiz, this is going to be that self-paced mode of study. This is not something where the whole class is engaging at the same time. I find this very helpful for if you want to have a review assignment for your students, or even if you've done a live Kahoot in class, maybe after that live Kahoot, especially if they have a test or a quiz, some kind of project assessment coming up. If you want to post that Kahoot quiz as a challenge for students to complete and practice on their own, you'll get to see their data from their practice as well, and they also can do it multiple times and get familiarity with it. So the first step that we want to do from within our Kahoot tab is we're going to want to select Play, and I'm definitely going to highlight all of these features for you when we head back to the computer, so not to worry. Second thing we want to keep in mind is we want to click Assign right after we click Play. So there's going to be 2 options available to us, Teach or Assign. If we'd like to assign a challenge for independent practice, we're going to click Assign. Then the third thing we're going to do is we're going to adjust the due date and any quiz settings that we want. So all of the same quiz settings that you would see on your Kahoot website, like having the random name generator, if you want students to be able to do it multiple times, all of those options are available for you within the Kahoot app on Microsoft Teams as well. And finally, when you're ready to go, you're going to click Done, get that all finished. As I mentioned to you before, the quiz task appears under Posts. And something that I find really cool is that as a challenge is posted into that stream, as the days go by, where the due date is coming closer, it adjusts that time and says to students how much time is remaining within that post when they go back to look at it. So that's a great feature. Let's head over to the computer and we'll check out how to do that. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Kahoot tab, right up at the top there. And again, there's only 3 quizzes because that's all I have right now. If I go back to the Kahoot website, you'll see I have the same 3 quizzes that are appearing there. So there's nothing that's being hidden from me. Whatever I have is going to appear there. So we'll do contractions. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select Play, as I mentioned to you. When you select Play, you're presented with those 2 options, Teach or Assign. We're going to check Assign. And now we're going to adjust our due date and any settings that we'd like. So I'm going to make it due this Friday by, we'll do by 11 p.m., give them enough time to finish it. And I can either add the question timer if you want students to have a timed option when they're doing it independently, or you could toggle that off if you'd like students to just be focusing on the review process and not necessarily worrying about a time crunch. I'm going to select to turn that off. But I am going to have that random answer order and the nickname generator. Now, I definitely recommend the nickname generator, especially when you go to do a live meeting with your students, because that prevents your students from, putting whatever it is on there, unless you have those established classroom management protocols with your students where they know not to put something, silly or maybe inappropriate as a nickname. If you have those class procedures from the beginning, you can have your students do their first name and their last name so you can easily identify their data. Okay, now I also can add a note to my Teams channel. That's a different thing that you won't see on the Kahoot website. So if I'd like to give my students some instructions or some pointers, maybe an encouraging note for them, you can leave that there. Now that I'm ready, I'm going to click Create. And I know that I was successful because it says challenge sent, so it does give me that confirmation. And if I go back to posts, you'll see it has, it's a post by Kahoot, not as me by the teacher, even though I did complete that action. It has this new challenge and it tells students that it's new, what it is, and then it gives them a very detailed countdown of the deadline for when they have to complete this. And again, as I mentioned before, I love how this countdown changes as the days go by. So that's really great for students if they want to go back to check out there. So when their students are ready, they're just going to open the challenge right from within their posts. It's going to be the same view for if you're a student or a teacher.